Welcome back, everybody, to the Chasing Cashflow podcast. This is episode number 10.
And yeah, the first couple of years, I mean, it was slow. It was like just us learning. We're still noobs. We're still trying to figure it out. And you know, I think a couple of things that really started to help us. One was, we started just doing it, just taking action and getting in the door and like getting stuff in contract, getting properties under contract, and then letting it grow. Right? I always say it's like planting a seed. You're planting many seeds out there, and eventually they'll grow. And when it's time to pick them.
If this is your first time listening to this podcast is all about interviewing successful real estate investors and entrepreneurs as they share how they started their business and scaled. Whether you have no properties or 100 properties, listeners can expect to learn actionable steps to grow and sustain their own real estate portfolio. So if you haven't already, make sure to check us out on Instagram at Chasing Cashflow Podcast and on YouTube, Chasing Cashflow Podcast. We are officially at episode number 10, which is a mini milestone. So thank you for everyone that has been supporting it so far. And thank you for tuning in today. I really appreciate it. Today's guest, I just love this conversation today because, you know, he stresses the point of just planting little seeds. You don't have to go for the big deal. You don't have to hit a home run. Just plant seeds, little seeds, just keep planting them. And over time, you know, for him, it was 6 years. They grew. And after you plant a seed, aka buy a real estate transaction, just let it sit, and the wealth is going to grow. It's going to appreciate. And then when it does, you're able to exchange those, 1031 exchange them or sell them and use it for whatever you want. But you can then grow at a faster pace after you plant those little seeds and just let them grow. So I love that analogy. He's a coach. He's a real estate investor. In 6 years, he's gone from 0 to over 150 doors with partnerships, majority of them on his own. So he just has a ton of knowledge to give out today. So super excited for today. And, let's head right into it. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Chasing Cashflow podcast. Today, we have an exciting guest, Calvin Chin. How you doing today, Calvin?
Dude, doing excellent, man. Like I was telling you before, it is sunny and 65 in California, so I'm gonna rub it in your face one more time.
Yeah, I know. You just keep rubbing it in. No, Calvin is the exact opposite of where I am. I am in Maryland. He's in California. I'd rather be in California. But no, man, I'm super excited for you to come on. I think you have a ton of knowledge and experience that you can share with our listeners. So just starting off, why don't we just talk about how you got into real estate investing to begin with?
Yeah, I mean, I think for the most part, you know, my story is just like anyone else's story, man. It's, you know, I think we were all fed this dream when we were growing up of the American dream, right? We're supposed to get a good job out of college, go to college, get a good job out of that, and then climb the corporate ladders until you have an office corner view and a bunch of employees and a huge title, right? That you can go home and say, "What's up?" Right? And I literally thought that was the path. So, you know, I studied my ass off, got not great grades, but I got enough good grades to get into a decent school and got a good job in tech. And when I got into tech, you know, I realized like this is not what this is all about. This is not what life should be. My legacy can't be working at this tech company for the next 25 years. Like that sounds unfulfilling in life. So, started looking at assets that could get you, you know, out of the 9-to-5 grind and buy back your time and more importantly, your energy, and landed on real estate, man.
Perfect. Did anyone, you know, come to you? Did you know anyone that was involved in real estate, or is that just something like you said, you did some research and you end up falling on it?
Yeah. So a couple of things. So one, we did some research, right? Like, my family comes more of a stock background, right? My dad is in stocks. So I initially thought, okay, stocks, that's the way, right? And so I looked at that and I didn't love it because, you don't sit at the board of an Apple, right? So you don't make decisions. I didn't love the non-control. And then for real estate, my experience in real estate before me actually jumping in was, you know, my parents buying real estate when we were kids, and they bought in Las Vegas in like 2008, and they got crushed. And so, you know, they never really did too well on the real estate side of things. And but I remember as a kid, we used to go to I remember one of these memories I had as a kid was like we were like in Palm Springs and it's my birthday and like we're going to see open houses. I'm like, why are we seeing open houses? My birthday sucks. And then fast forward, I'm like, oh my God, like I love going to open houses and stuff. And I love doing real estate. So I get it now. But so that was like my first experience. And then my wife, who was really the one who like dragged me into it. She was the one that was like, hey, like we got to go to this conference, right? Like, check out this conference. So she kind of trusted me to go to this conference, and I walk in, and it's a bunch of like Tony Robbins type of situation where everyone's jumping up and like very cult-like, and I was like, what kind of cult did you bring me to? And but out of that, I got a lot of information that like kind of started to change my mindset about life, because my mindset was very much if you read the Cashflow quadrant, it was definitely the employee. I was definitely an employee.
Exactly.
And that started to shift my mindset into more of a entrepreneur and an investor. Right.
Gotcha. And what was that conference?
It was a program called Fortune Builders, if you know what that is. Yeah.
Okay.
So.
No, I haven't heard about that, but that's awesome that she drug you there, and you're probably thanking her, a lot right now for doing so.
Yeah, I know. It's at the time I was like, hey, what is this, right? And now looking back at it, I'm like, wow. I've always, my path in real estate was, my first experience with my parents was like, it's risky, right? They bought in Vegas, and all of a sudden, boom, valuations went down like crazy, and so I wasn't ever like in the beginning like very pumped about that, but then kind of just seeing like a lot of things like leverage was one of the depreciation, not only the appreciation part, but the cash flow part. That actually really resonated a lot with me, because you can buy stocks, you buy $10,000 worth of stocks, and you buy $10,000 worth of real estate, but that $10,000 worth of real estate, you can buy maybe a $100K property with that. Versus stocks, you could technically with stocks too, but it's way more like crazy and risky to do it that way.
Yeah, but with real estate as well, you get loan pay down, you get your tenants paying for your loan, you get cash flow, you get appreciation, you get a lot more perks, just in my personal, preference. I prefer real estate over stocks, but, a lot of other people have better reasons as to why they pick stocks. But I just feel as if, real estate offers a lot more as far as value. But, at the same time, let's talk about just your overall portfolio right now, because, you have a very good portfolio. What do you have, and kind of what do you have all going on right now in your life?
Yeah, so we have a portfolio right now. It's about 161 units across. I think I mentioned to you before. We have some here in California, Utah, Texas, but primarily we have a lot in Tennessee and northern Alabama.
Okay, what made you pick those markets?
Well, that's the age-old question right there, man.
Yeah.
Okay, so in the beginning, my very first market I ever went into was Dallas, Texas. Right, I started investing in 2016, I believe, and I picked that market because at the time I was like, all right, there's got to be a recession coming soon, right? There's got to be a correction, right? At the time I was 2016, I was like, 6 years ago now, right? But like we had been on a 6-7 year run, and it's like cycles don't really last that long. And I was like, all right, well, I don't want to wait on the sidelines. I want to get in the game, but I want to pick a market that I can still cash flow in and not be affected by maybe a potential dip, right? And so looking at data, right? I'm big on data, right? Like find the data that you can make data-driven decisions on. And so one thing, obviously, that I love Dallas-wise industries, there's multiple industries out there. So obviously one industry goes down, you got multiple industries, right? Unlike someone like Detroit, where in Detroit in 2009, it's all automobile, right? So GM went down, Ford went down for a little bit, and guess what? No jobs. Now no one could pay for rent. Now no one could afford houses anymore. Everything tanked. So Dallas didn't have that. They have everything. They have oil, they have insurance, they have tech, they have, you name it, they have it, right? And so that felt really good. I had a lot of Fortune 100 companies that have a huge population growth, huge job growth, that everyone always says. But also, it's also cool to see like, all right, well, in those, companies, what companies actually employ the most people? And what are those companies doing? Are they doing well? Are they not doing well? Is biotech doing well? Is biotech not doing well? Like, what are the companies doing? And the kicker for me though was looking at the median home price in 08-09. Well, what happened? And in Dallas, it was like flat. Nothing really changed. The median home price just stayed flat. It didn't go down and go up. It just stayed pretty much flat. And to me, okay, that shows a resilient market where, any market, you can look at the metrics right now from 2011 to now, every market's been this trajectory of going up. Any market could do good in a good market, right? But in a bad market, how do you perform? That's when you see the true character of a market. And that's why I love Dallas. So that's why I invested in Dallas first, because I felt more secure and more safe about the long-term aesthetics of it.
Wow, I think that's so interesting how you pick a market that kind of evaluate it at the downturn, like you said, '08, the major crash. And I mean, that's definitely something that for myself that's I just learned that right now, and that's something that I'm definitely going to look for when I go, start looking for out of state markets to do. Because I mean, like you just said, if it's good, not good, if it's resilient, if it stays the same during a downturn, then I mean, you're pretty much going to be good. And I think the huge point is with those jobs as well, job security, population, all of that. So no, that's awesome. Let's go into your first deal. So obviously that one's in Dallas. So how nervous were you? Because obviously there's like it happened to me. Hopefully it happened to you. Hopefully I'm not the only one. But going into your first deal, it's just it's really nerve wracking. You want to get it right. Obviously there's going to be learning points, but just walk us through that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, man. I mean, if you don't feel any kind of nerves, and I got some more questions for you, right? You may not be human, but yeah, I mean, I went through the same nerves that I think anyone else goes through, where you're like, here's kind of the cycle, man. And you tell me if this is how you felt too. It's like you're getting into real estate, you're reading the books, you're listening to podcasts, you're surrounding yourself with people who are doing it, and you're like, all right, I'm gonna do this. I'm freaking gonna go do this, right? And then you finally get a deal on a contract. You're like, oh shit, I'm doing.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and then so that's how I felt, man. I was excited. You get it, and you're like, oh my god, now I got to go do it. And then when you have to go sign the paperwork, and then here's the EMD. The EMD is like, oh my god, this is real. I'm doing it. And I've talked a lot about just in my life, in the beginning of my investment career, I definitely had a lot of limiting beliefs about myself. I definitely had that imposter syndrome. Definitely had that I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not Grant Cardone, right? I can never be that guy. And obviously having fear, right? And just getting over those limiting beliefs of what's actually true on these. No.
100%. I think that, I had those same things. I'm not good enough. These guys are way smarter. They all, are millionaires, all this. When it comes into play of comparing yourself to others, especially before that first deal, it really limits, your belief in yourself. So I think that's huge. And do you think, obviously doing the deal probably boosted your confidence, and moving forward, it probably gave you more confidence to do it. I know, like you said, doing all the research, reading all the podcasts, books, everything, you're probably over-analyzing everything at that point because you're so ready to do one that you have all this knowledge built up, and you're probably like, oh, is there something else I need to analyze? Is there something else I'm missing or something like that? But no, I think that's huge. Was this property a multifamily or was it single family?
This was just a single family.
Okay, and I personally have not invested out of state yet, so why don't you just tell me, first off, I feel like that's another, layer of fear of doing it, out of your state, out of your comfort level. But on top of that, what did you have in place? What kind of did you have to look for as far as, real estate agent, all that?
I didn't have anything in place, man, at the very beginning. Now, why I also pick that market, and this is something I always tell my students too, is all right, well, as you do your market selection, obviously the data, the metrics, you're always going to find good markets. There's going to be good markets everywhere. Dallas is one of many good markets out there. And the thing I actually say is all right, well, ask yourself, what is your competitive advantage in that market? And competitive advantage can be many things. Do I have a team already set up there? That's a competitive advantage. Do I have already properties out there? That's a competitive advantage. Do I know things that other people don't know about the market? Is there Netflix investing a bunch of stuff in a different market? I'm not going to say I know that or not, but maybe I do, right? But those are competitive advantages. In that side, my very first deal, I didn't have that many. But what I did have was an aunt that lived in Dallas area, was an agent. And I was like, all right, well, I have a family member in a place that I want to invest. That sounds great. Because the rest of my family's in New York and Boston and California. Those are not places I wanted to invest first. I wanted to be in Texas or something like that, and somewhere in the Midwest or South. And so that helped a lot to give me confidence that, all right, I have a family member that's an agent that can help at least facilitate something there. And so, that was the competitive advantage of why as well.
It's having that real estate agent family member. Did you end up putting that into, property management? Did your aunt end up doing that?
Yeah. So, once I got her in contract, and here's the thing, and, kind of back to your first point there of, tell me about your first deal. I think the thing that separates, and this is something that a student told me that really helped me put in perspective. He was like, the only thing that is different about people talking up there and the people sitting down here, or that you guys took action. And I was like, boom, that's exactly what it is, right? And we're not Grant Cardone if we never take action, but we can be if we do take action, right? And
I agree with that totally. A lot of people that I'm a real estate agent here in Maryland, and a lot of my friends are seeing what I'm doing. We have 4 unit and we have a duplex under contract and we have a single family home. So we're slowly growing our portfolio, but they're all asking us to get into it. And, obviously that's fears there. It was for both of us. It was for a lot of people when you start in real estate. But I mean, the major thing you have to stress is just taking action, because once you do that, you're going to make a lot of mistakes, a ton of them, but you're going to learn from them. And I actually put a social media post today. First deal is not about the money. It's about the learning experience. And that's basically what it is. Do you find that the same?
100%, man. And I love what you just said there, because, the way I put it is, once you're in that first deal, you're taking action, then you'll figure it out. Like, you're not going to say, oh, am I going to find property manager? Like, I figured, like, once it was in the contract, it was like, go. All right, got to get the lender, got to get the property manager, got to get the contractor team. Like, you're going to do it. Like, you're going to find a way to do it. Yeah, because your back's against the wall. And when your back's against the wall, you're going to freaking go.
Exactly. Fight or flight.
Exactly.
Yeah. So so obviously, I mean, you said 2016, that was your first deal?
I think so. Yeah. 2016.
Yeah. Okay. So since then you've been really moving. So, I mean, you're up to 161 doors. What has been your growth as far as, like, do you leverage your properties? Have you done partnerships? What kind of is your strategy as far as scaling as fast as you did? Was it slower at first, or did you kind of just go full force?
Yeah. So I think 2 main things there. Yeah. I mean, it was a slow process. We're an overnight success over 6 years, we'll call it. Right. And yeah, the first couple of years, I mean, it was slow. It was like just us learning. We're still noobs. We're still trying to figure it out. And I think a couple of things that really started to help us. One was, we started just doing it, just taking action and getting in the door and, like, getting stuff in contract, getting properties under contract, and then letting it grow, right? I always say it's like planting a seed. You're planting many seeds out there, and eventually they'll grow, and when it's time to pick them, right? So we did the first, like, 2-3 years where we were just picking seeds, putting seeds out there, and then, things were starting to hit, right? And then there's really this concept of momentum of money, momentum of assets. That's a really true thing, right? You think about it like a snowball effect, where in the top of the mountain, you can throw a snowball and it's tiny. But then as it keeps going down the mountain, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, right? And so same concept, like, you got to start somewhere, and those assets will grow to a point where that Dallas property, I sold that thing. I 1031 exchange it into an apartment complex, right? That nets me, 5 times more, right? And so guess what? And this apartment complex, maybe I'll sell that one and do a bigger apartment complex in a couple of years, right? So yeah, there's that piece of scale. And then also the partnerships. I think you hit on the head there, is this who, not how. And, as you continue to scale, what I found is that, man, like, you can do stuff that you hate, and you're going to hate it, and it's going to draw away energy, and you're like, why am I doing this? And so what I found is, like, hey, if you can just focus on the things that you love doing, then you're going to enjoy doing it more and more and more. And you're going to find people that love doing the things that you hate doing, and then you got a perfect partnership.
Going off of that right there. So I know, I don't know much of it, but I know from, researching you and everything like that before you came on the podcast, Zen Coast University, which is a mentorship or a coaching as that you run, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Okay. And is that kind of your mission, something that gives you energy? Obviously doing something that you love is going to give you energy. Like, for me, investing in real estate, probably the same for you, but also, like me doing this podcast, you doing the mentorship, doing the coaching, that gives, that probably gives you energy as well. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, 100%, man. So I kind of separate it between 2 aspects in life. You have achievement focus, and then you have purpose focus, right? So early on in my career, I was absolutely achievement focused. Like, I'm not gonna lie about that. Like, I wanted to hit the passive income numbers. I wanted to hit the door count, right? I wanted to grow, right? And and that's where I thought that would bring me happiness. And what I found is, like, when we hit those goals and metrics, the happiness wasn't there, man. You just raise the bar more. You keep on raising it, and so that you're always kind of chasing. What I found is when I switched to purpose driven, because what I found was when I was achievement focused, we hit a passive income goal that we wanted to hit. I thought that I would be happy and that everything would be perfect, and that wasn't the case, right? That wasn't the case at all. What happened was nothing happened. In fact, I was actually more depressed because I felt like that was the purpose of my life, and it wasn't. Right. And you kind of just raise the bar and you keep on doing it again. You're like, oh man, I'm just doing it again. Then you're kind of stuck in the same rut in a way. Whereas I found out what I was missing was more purpose driven. And purpose driven is more about like impact. It's more about legacy. Like I have a student right now that, he's in real estate not because he wants to make a lot of money. I'm sure that's part of it, but that's the cost. Like the effect is like his mom is from Jamaica, and his mom's village got like washed away by monsoon, and he wants to go back and rebuild that village, and so those kids have the equal opportunity that he had in the States and Canada, and that's purpose driven. So for me, similar to that, it's like my purpose is, hey, if I can help people or make an impact on people and help them create passive income so that they can go out and create passive impact in their world, their family, their community. Yeah, that is exactly what gets me juiced up in life, and I could be happy on my deathbed saying, hey, I have no life. I have a life of no regrets because I did something that I felt was the right thing to do and did change this world for the better.
What is your, I 100% agree with everything you said. What is your split as far as your mentees, the people that you mentor? Are they, just beginning? Have they started in their career? Are they successful and just looking to get to the, the next successful level? What does that look like?
Yeah, I mean, I would say probably like 85 to 90% of people like they're kind of just beginning their investing career, right? It's maybe they have their primary property, maybe they have a property somewhere, but they kind of like stumbled upon it and got into it, but they didn't know like the systems in place to do it. So
I love that you do that because I mean I've looked into mentorships and everything like that, and I don't know. I know they're a large investment. Majority of them are, but I know they pay off. So for someone that just comes to you, just because I'm interested, if someone comes to you and says, you know what, that's a down payment on a house, or not saying because I don't know what your prices are, but I'm just saying that's a down payment on a house or whatever. What do you teach them? Do you introduce them to people that can partner with them? Do you introduce them to hard money lenders, or what kind of do you do to benefit them?
Yeah, 100%. So there's really two things there, right? First off, this is the most important piece of real estate right here, right? I always think that like someone like Elon Musk, for example, Teslas can start blowing up tomorrow, right? And he can go bankrupt. But guess what? In 3 months, he'll be a bajillionaire again, right? Because of his mindset. And so part of that is, what our reporting costs could be a down payment. Absolutely can. But guess what? Like you're putting a down payment on your education that you're going to have forever. That not only, I call it the generational wealth of assets that you pass down, but generational wealth of knowledge that you can pass down and give to other people too. We've been a part of so many masterminds. We spent over 6 figures last year on education for ourselves, right? And it pays off. It really does. And can you guys go out there on YouTube and go find out how to do it? Sure, you can, but you don't know how. But there's no structure to it, right? It's like you're kind of chasing a squirrel. And trust me, I was there, right? Listening to Bigger Pockets, like, hey, every episode, it's awesome. I love Bigger Pockets. But every episode, someone else comes on and they're like, hey, this is the best thing since sliced bread. Self-storage. Oh, actually, now we have apartment complex. Oh, now it's RV parks. And you're like, oh, I should do that, right? And you get nothing done. So one is, I think, it gives you focus, it gives you structure. What's next? I wish I had a process of, all right, this, then there, this, and there. Like, what is next, right? What are my systems, right?
Well, it's probably very specific as well per person, that goes into, yeah. So whatever their goals is, ambitions, it's probably, structured that way to fit them.
Correct. And you're absolutely right. So, one of the things that we preach a lot too is like, dude, every single person, Evan, Calvin, any one of your listeners, we're all different places in our lives. We're all in different financial situations. We're all in different lifestyle situations. Like you're just having a kid, right? That's a different lifestyle now, right? You just got married. Hey, that's a different lifestyle now. I have a lot of time. I don't have a lot of time, right? So every single person has a different, unique situation in their life. So I hate when people say on YouTube or whatever, they're like, I have a one-size-fits-all strategy that you can get rich with. There's no such thing. Because what's a good deal for Evan might be a bad deal for Calvin. What's a good deal for Calvin might be a bad deal for Evan, right? So it's all about understanding your own personal aspects of why you're doing it, what's your purpose, what's your vision, what you want out of it, and then building a criteria from there. Right? Yeah. What's the best fit? If you're someone, I had a student right now that she makes really good W-2 money, and she's like, I don't want to do any construction work or anything like that. So for her, hey, buy those B-class assets or A-class 2000 vintage or higher, and really just rock and roll with turnkey properties and things like that. I've another student that makes a decent W-2 and is like, hey, like I want to get my hands dirty. I want to go do this. I want to go fast. I want to go far, right? And bird strategy is great for that, right? But it's limited capital, so it's like, oh, good. We'll just recycle money over and over again, and that's how you're gonna do it. So man, to answer your question there, it's really it's really the focus on we call it a roadmap for each person. And then, do we have a network of people that we can refer to that we've built out over the years? Absolutely. But really, it's not even just our network, dude. It's our community's network, right? Because they're also doing that too. And guess what? You can go a lot faster. If you're the one trying to pick up the phone and call every single person and build up your network that way, sure, you can do it. It's going to take you 10 years. But yes, if you have hundreds of people doing the same thing and they're all willing to share their experiences that are good and share that these guys are bad and you can avoid those landmines, then you will get there a lot faster, I guarantee you.
I love that, man. I love it. So, just touching on that, have you ever, had someone come across, because I've heard this before, do you believe that you have to be uncomfortable or sacrifice in order to invest in real estate?
Damn, man, you are talking my language right now, dude. So if I could get this tattooed on my body, my wife would let me. She won't, but a quote that I love, a credo, a theme, whatever you want to call it, of what I live by is be comfortable being uncomfortable. Okay. Because this is, when you're uncomfortable is when the most growth happens, and you need to feel uncomfortable. Your first deal, were you uncomfortable?
100%, 120%.
Yeah, and almost every deal I do, even to this day, I'm like, I'm a little uncomfortable about it, but that's like good, right? You're challenging yourself. You're saying, hey, I'm doing something that is challenging and keeping me, fresh and alive. For us, yeah, sure, you can just work your routine 9 to 5 and be stagnant there.
Yeah, the first deal, it's like ripping off a Band-Aid. First time, never feeling it before, you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know, this is going to hurt so bad. After doing it, you're like, okay. And then you go to the next one. And no, I think that's huge as well. So why don't we transition? Why don't we go into, do you have a deal maybe that we can kind of dive into, whether, any deal that you think might add a little value to the listeners?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect. All right. So what kind of deal is this, and where'd you find it? How'd you find it?
Yeah. So we just closed on a deal about maybe 3 weeks ago now that it was a 23 unit in Alabama, northern Alabama. Nice. And I say this deal because this is probably one of the most challenging deals I've ever done. You always say, like, oh, I had a deal before that. I was like, this is the most challenging deal I've ever done. And then next deal comes along, the most challenging one, right? So what I want to highlight here for your listeners is that, in this market right now, it's a tough market, right? It's super hot everywhere. Any market you want to be in, it's super hot. So, David Green once told us, like, you got to make your own deals. You got to create deals now, right? And it's so true. You do have to create deals. And so this one I had found not on MLS. It was a texting campaign. So we texted the owner saying, "Hey, I'd love to buy your place." And he gave us a number, and I ran the numbers. I was like, "You know what? This would actually work. I'll do it." Right? And so we're negotiating. We're basically going to have a structure where he's going to be a joint partner in this, and basically take no money until we basically refinance it, until we refinance it. And that fell through, and then his lawyers got involved and blew it up. Right? So the deal died. But I knew you're going to be true. And the deal died. And so then we're negotiating again, like, all right, like, how do we make this work? We can't. It's half the building is down to the studs in a way, right? So it's really heavy rehab. And so, we had to negotiate, like, well, no bank is going to lend on this. We had to work with us.
So
go ahead.
No, sorry. I was just going to say, so I don't want to just get over that. I want to, so how did you structure it so that he'd be a joint venture, a JV? How did you structure that? Because that's something I've never heard of.
Yeah, no, it's super unique, man. And so and probably why he ended up not doing it, or the lawyer just didn't know. The lawyers, I felt like, lawyers are lawyers, right? They want to protect their client.
And they're going to say no.
They just felt super uncomfortable. Like, even though it was like, hey, like, basically he would still own the property until we were done with the refinance, or until we were done with the construction part of it. And then when we refinance, we pay him his purchase price.
Okay. Right? Yeah.
And
so you're going to add the value through the renovation.
Right. So we would basically create an LLC where, basically you'd own the property still. So, you were still going to own the property while we did the renovations until we basically did it, refinance it, and then closed it. And there's language to protect both of us, where language for him would say, hey, I still own the property. But also language for us to say, hey, we're doing this, like, we actually will own it after we refinance.
Okay. Wow.
Anyways, he did it. He did verbally agree. We were going through paperwork and stuff. And again, attorney stepped in and just probably felt too uncomfortable with it. She's like, I don't know this. I'm not a real estate investor. Blow it up, right? And so she blew it up. and then, all right, we're like, all right, deal's done. We're like, do it. It's cool. We'll go on to the next one. And so we started and then we started picking up negotiations again of like, how do we make this work? We obviously can't get lending on this. We were going to do it that way, but you blew this up. So, and this is also where, you had your lawyer step in. So I had my lawyer step in, and then they were negotiating. I was like, dude, we basically need seller financing on this. So we got seller financing on it. They're like, cool, great. We negotiated a 25-year AM seller financing on a 15-year term, which is awesome, on half of the deal. And then the other half, we got a commercial bridge loan come in at first position and take care of, I think, like 85% of our side of the down payment, we'll call it, and 100% of the rehab.
Okay, so the bank still paid the seller 85% of the value that you purchased it for?
No, seller didn't come away with anything at that point because he had a loan on it, right? So I'll give you numbers for perspective, right? It was $875K, right, to purchase 23 units, down units, pretty down, and he came in with half the deal of seller finance.
Gotcha.
And then the lender, right, came in with, I think, $350K of the down payment. We're supposed to come up with $437K of cash to buy it. The bank came in a first lien position at $350 or something like that, and then we came up with the rest, like $100K or something like that, and then they covered 100% of the rehab. Okay,
so all the units, right? None of them were rented.
There were like 5 rented, but they're barely rented, man.
Okay,
so basically we're buying a vacant. We'll call it that, right?
Yeah,
just is buying a vacant, and yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
So how did you? First off, how did you know how to renovate them to market standard in that area? Because obviously, something in California is going to be a lot different than West Virginia.
Right.
As far as what you needed to get it rent ready. First off, how did you determine, what you needed for that? And then secondly, obviously, did you have a property manager that maybe got the rents for you so you could calculate what it'd be worth at the end?
Right. I mean, this is where your team comes in huge, right? So this is not the first deal we've done in the area, right? So we've already done many deals in that area. So you just tap and plug and play. If it's your first deal in the area, you're probably not doing that deal. Yeah. But because you have a team already in place, you're able to, right? So we had a property manager already there. I had a property like 5 minutes away. I know what rents are.
Okay, perfect.
Right. And so, and then we had a construction team, right? One of my partners runs the construction side of things. And we were doing a deal like 20 minutes away from this property. Okay. We knew that once we're done with that one, we needed a place to send the construction crew, and boom, we're right there. So, I think at the time of this recording, I think, I just talked to him this morning. We have like, half the units already done. So
wow. Okay, and obviously your play at the end of this is to refinance out, pay the seller, and then are you walking away with any money, or is that the hopes, or are you just looking to just get it at that 75%, 85%, whatever it is, and then
so at that point, man, the exit strategy, and again, you should have multiple exit strategies, but exit strategy number 1 right now is we're going to refinance at the new value, because now we've created all this value because we've renovated, we've stabilized, we've rented it out at market rent, and then we're going to pay back our seller, right, and now own the property with another own cash in the deal, right, basically burning it, right, so just commercial burn.
Yep. So you said you had multiple properties in the area. I know people that a couple that I've interviewed, they pick that market, try to grow as much as possible, get as many properties in that areas, and then try to sell it as a package and then go to the next. Is that your kind of strategy? What's your strategy as far as, do you just want to buy that whole city?
that can be. I mean, right now my exit strategy number 1 is we're buy and hold, right? And I'm obviously looking to expand more and more and more and more in that area. If there's deals, right? Right now, I mean, I'm not going to buy anything either that isn't a good deal either, right? Like,
exactly.
You got to stick to your principles. And do I get anxious sometimes? 100%. I'm like, I got to buy a deal, right? But it doesn't mean I'm going to try to make a mistake and say I'm just going to buy a bad deal just to buy a deal, right? So, I want to expand as much as I can, as fast as I can, in the right way, because you don't want to get over leveraged. I don't want to lose my shirt either, right? So.
I find a lot of people get stuck on the amount of units, that number, when they don't pay attention to, buying a bad deal and getting to 50, buying a bad deals and getting to 50 units is not as good as having 15 solid units. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's extremely important just to stress, don't go out and buy bad deals so that you can go around and tell people that you have 100 property or 100 doors, whatever it may be. Yeah. I think, being very specific in your criteria and making sure that they are good, solid deals. I think that's a huge, point that you just made. So I think that's a lot of value as well. So your whole portfolio, right? So where are you headed from here? Are you just grow, trying to get as much as possible? And kind of what are your goals as far as moving forward? Because you're still young. I mean, you're very successful. Like, what's your goal from here?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question, man. So on the real estate side, yeah, it is. I mean, grow is a word for it, but I think more of like it's expand by scale is probably a better word for it. Yeah, I mean, at some point I want to just expand enough that we even have property management in-house in a way, right? So that's easy. You know, I'm pretty agnostic at this point where, yeah, we have a lot in that area, but, you know, I look at deals in general anywhere, right? And I say, all right, do I have the team in place to do a deal there? Right. And so, I mean, you know, one of my coaches, a good friend of ours, like, he was like, hey, I need some help. We need to close the deal in 48 hours. Let's roll. And I was like, all right, let's do it. Right. We only had one deal there in the past. And, you know, I trust him because he's out there. And I was like, all right, we'll do that deal too. So I think it is just expansion, but in the right way. You know, not going too fast. But also just, you know, I think aligning with our lifestyle that we want to live. You know, there's got to be that effort number, right? I think back to the achievement focus versus purpose stuff. Like, you know, if you're going to keep on doing this over and over and over again, there's going to be no end to it, right? So what else do we want to live?
Yeah, I think 100% right there. So I also think that there's like two types of people. I may be wrong, but I feel like there's two types of people. People that want to do everything themselves, which is totally fine. Nothing's wrong with that. And then there's people that want a partner. And, you know, what's your experience with that? And do you believe that partnerships is kind of like the way to grow and scale as fast as possible?
Yeah, I love to speak to that because you can call me bipolar in that regard, where I was in the beginning of my career in this was very much like, I got to do everything. To the point where, you know, my first apartment complex, I self-managed it. Oh my God, that was a mistake, right? That's what you don't want to do. And so now, yeah, I mean, I partner on a lot of stuff. I mean, I love partnering because a couple of things. One, you're sharing the wealth, right? But then you're also doing the things that you want to do, like your superpower. And I love that concept of like, you got to do the things that you love, right? And you got to make it fun. And if you're not doing the things you don't love doing, then why are you doing this?
So is your 100%? I agree with that. So is your typical, you know, partnership? What are the things that you love doing?
So I love the acquisitions piece, dude. I love the structuring of the deal. It's like that gets me, like kind of the deal we just talked about. Like I love that. It took 5 months to negotiate that deal and back and forth. And was it stressful? Sure, it was. No joke. But was it fun? Absolutely. Especially when we closed it, I was like, hell yeah, right? Like it just felt really, really good. I loved every part of that. And even the deal right before that too. You know, like a 36 unit up there, and it was like same thing. Like, you know, you structure it, all that stuff. You're getting everything together. You're herding cats essentially. And I love the completion. What I don't love doing is, you know, like the operations piece, you know, like spreadsheets. Like I do it out of necessity, but it's not something that I love doing. You know, we have bookkeepers now. We have like, you know, we have a team that can handle that for the most part. But you still got to be the CEO of your business, and that's what this is.
At what point did you start to systemize everything? Well, obviously, you know, out of state, you're probably going to get a property manager. That's probably, you know, something. But you said bookkeeping. You said, you know, there's probably a lot more parts to your business. At what point were you like, okay, it's time to offload some of this?
Well, I mean, in different stages, right, for different aspects, right? I mean, I think bookkeeping was definitely one of those things that you hate doing, right? So that was like, I have to go do that. What else? Property management for sure. I mean, I remember getting a call from a tenant saying like, you know, my hallway smells like wet dog. Can you set something over here to, you know, make my hallway smell better? And I was like, this is not, you know, a per hour task that I should be doing. But I'm really glad I did it though. I mean, I'm really glad I went through the experience to say, this is not what I want to do. So I would say, I mean, you got to get to a certain scale. I mean, you have one property, you know, you're probably going to do most of the stuff yourself. But as you continue to go bigger and bigger, like, what are the stuff that brings, what's the 80-20 rule, right? What's the things that if I focus my 20% on, that it's going to make 80% of revenue, right? So I'd focus on that, right? All right, well, it's by me outsourcing that, will we be able to do more?
At some point too. I mean, it's at some point it's going to do more harm than good for you to take on these tasks. It's going to take you away from deal finding, deal acquisitions, everything that you're good at, and that that's your part of the role in a partnership or just yourself. It's going to take you away from that, and that's may do more harm than good. When you manage that first apartment complex by yourself, what first off, how many units was there? And, do you have any stories or anything that you can share just as far as, you probably got too many to tell, but
a lot of stories. It was a 12 unit, and it was definitely manageable. It wasn't like, I wasn't like drowning, but it wasn't like fun either at all. It was definitely draining energy. Man, what stories? Well, I can tell a recent story. This is actually, this is a ridiculous story, man. I'll tell it, but it is just, and this is after I manage. I don't manage anymore, but like I just got to tell the story because it's hilarious. I never had this something happen before. So basically, we had a tenant in one of the buildings, and basically, I just got a call from my apartment manager saying, "Hey, we have to evict two of the tenants in your building." I was like, "Oh, whoa, what happened? Why?" They're like, "Well, they were looking to harm each other. Like they were getting into fights," and I was like, "Okay, why?" And she's like, "Well, I guess one of the other tenants was hooking up with one of the other tenants."
Oh, jeez.
Girlfriend. They literally live right across the hall from each other.
Oh my gosh.
And so, she's like, "Yeah, we're evicting both of them because they're getting violent toward each other, so they're both out." And I was like, "Man, it sucks, but okay." And then I found out that the girl in question was actually another tenant in one of our other buildings.
Oh my goodness!
We had like a little blood triangle going on. And
oh my goodness!
We're not evicting her because she's not being violent or anything like that. But that's probably one of the funniest stories I've heard lately.
No, definitely, and I think that just speaks again towards the you're focusing on other things. Your property manager is the one handling all that for you. So, not saying you're overlooking the manager. So, delegating that property management, delegating all the evictions, repairs, maintenance when they get those calls. I think that's huge when you start scaling because, like I said before, reiterating it right now, it allows you to do the things that you love. It allows you to do things that you're good at, which, I think is a really good point when you start turning your portfolio into a business rather than just a portfolio. So, but okay, well, you've exceeded, the amount of knowledge that you've been sharing, and I absolutely love it. I want to we touched on your real estate goals, but what's your goals as far as your coaching goes?
Yeah. I mean, if I look at I write down my vision every year, right? And if anyone doesn't know what that is, like I highly look it up. It's a book by Cameron Harrell, but really it just has you visualize where you are in like 3 years, write it down, and sharing it, right? And I can tell you how many times that we've done that over the years, and you look back down at it, look at your notes. I have my journal actually out in the living room right now, and it's like, whoa, it's like literally the exact number that you wrote down. It's absolutely bonkers that stuff happens, and it's so true, right? And so, for me, my goal is I want to help 1,000 people create enough passive income so that they can go create passive impact in their own communities, right? And so, what that entails on the coaching side of things, it's mostly just, hey, like we want to find not just anyone, not quantity, but quality, like good people. I mean, I've been around enough people where, like, in this game of real estate, you just want to be around good people that are like-minded from you, right? And you want to grow together, right? And the way we've kind of structured our culture is it's a family vibe, man. Like everyone really cares about each other, and everyone wants to see each other succeed. And I love that piece of it because it's beyond just real estate, right? It's family. It's real estate as a vehicle of how can we all get there together, right? And to me that speaks volume.
Couldn't agree more. So I mean, just like you just said, people have their own reasons of getting into real estate investing. And it's their why. It's their why. So what is your why for all of this? We may have touched on it earlier, but what is your why for doing all of this?
Yeah, I mean, why I get out of bed and why I do what I do is, we're on this planet for such a short amount of time. I mean, we have two assets in life, which is our time and our energy, and we got to spend it, the way that we're meant to. There shouldn't be crap down in a tiny office in your 9 to 5. Like, to me, like, it's more about just having purpose in general, Like having purpose to say, if I'm on my deathbed, I could say I didn't have any regrets, right? Kind of going back to your question about fear. It's like, I don't really have, I still have fear, of course, of getting a new deal, but I fear more that I didn't take action. That's more my fear, right? So my why is to help inspire other people to say, cool, like I know there's a life outside of just, what has been told to me. And I want to go seek that out. And I want to be the person to be that catalyst to help them, transform the direction of their lives. And one of the big reasons why is what I do is, one of my students, one of my friends now, one of my family members now, essentially. I remember he came up to us, me and my wife, Jenny, in tears and was like, hey man, like you guys are changing my life. And now getting to see him, without all of his life events, not even just real estate, like, he bought his first investment property. Awesome. He just got engaged, about to get married. Awesome. Like you're going to see people grow. And that's this human to human connection, right? So
those experiences right there probably are worth more than any money that you could receive. So I think you're doing a great thing, which is absolutely amazing. And if someone was interested, let's say, one of the listeners was interested in Zen Coast University, can you find it at the website? Just go to the website.
Yeah, just go to zencoastuniversity.com. If you're interested in learning more about our community, happy to talk and have an interview with you and kind of just see if there's a good fit.
Yeah, I'll put that in the description, the podcast description. So anyone that's interested, the link will be down there so you can click. Also, where else can people find you if they want to learn more about you?
Man, dude, I'm an addict on IG and on Instagram and Facebook. Unfortunately, that's where that's how we connected, right? So,
yeah.
If you really want to get in contact with me, man, I'm probably on IG way too many times, dude. So you can probably find me on Instagram, which is I think Calvin Shin REI.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. I'll put that down there as well. My wife calls me a teenager on the Instagram because I'm the same way. I'm just on top of it all the time, which is probably distractions sometimes. But anyway.
It's how you kind of look at it, right? Because you can find connections that way. Like, it's a great tool if you want it to be, or it's a great distractor of time if you want it to be.
Yes, utilizing it for growing your network and everything like that, I think it's a powerful tool. But like you just said, distractions on there, comparing yourself to others, like we talked about, I think that plays a huge role in it as well because. Just looking and comparing yourself. But if anyone can provide value to you personally, for you or your businesses, what would that look like?
Yeah, and I love that you asked that because one of the things that we talked about was, hey, how can you offer some more stuff? So yeah, one of the things that we're looking for right now is someone that wants to learn more about real estate investing and is hungry and is a great people person in general and is organized. And if they live in the Bay Area, even better, right? But we're looking for someone to join our team, basically to help outsource with a lot of things that we've just gotten too busy for. So.
Perfect. That's great. Well, Calvin, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate you being on the podcast. I learned a lot from you today, and I think you're just you're a huge resource of information, how fast you've grown, and I think you can provide a lot of people that would want to do that Zen Coast University. So thank you so much. I love what you're doing and your mission and your goals and everything like that, and I look forward to seeing everything you do in 2022.
Yeah, appreciate it, Evan. Likewise, man.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, and we'll be talking soon.
All right.